Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. It wanted to shut off my video. We can't have that. No. Okay, so welcome to the next module, which is a continuation of the previous module. So we are going to continue thigh muscles. We're going to be going over the quadriceps, hamstrings, a muscle called tensor fascia lata, and sartorius. Before we get started with this unit, make sure that you review your bony landmarks for the femur. What is this? That's right. It is the head of the femur. Who remembers what this little thing is? Yeah, it's the attachment for the round ligament. It's also called a fovea. Remember, fovea. What's this? The neck, good. This? Yep, greater trochanter. This? Lesser trochanter, good. What about this thing right here? Yep, gluteal tuberosity. Woohoo! You're doing so well. Okay, how about this? Right there, I know it's hard to see. It's too much of a glare. That's what happens when you use plastic bones. That's right, this is the medial lip of the linea aspera. And over here, there we go, you can see the ridge. Right, that's the lateral lip of the linea aspera. Good. What about these two things down here? Yes, this is the medial condyle, this is the lateral condyle. Very good. So if we turn them over, turn them around here, what's this? Flat area right here. Yeah, that's the patellar surface. That's the articular surface for the patella there. Right, good. How about, we see this is the lateral side, this right here. Yep, that's the lateral epicondyle, which makes this big bone right here the medial epicondyle. Good. We also have some ridges, right? These are on page 283, by the way, if you're following along in your book. So we have the medial supracondylar line or supracondylar ridge, the lateral supracondylar ridge right here. And remember, we also had the adductor tubercle right there. Okay, we had attachments for the adductors here for a previous unit. Good. Okay, that's about it. I'm going to just kind of move along here because you already know that, which just wanted to do a quick review. Also, in this particular unit, we are going to be introducing the tibia and the fibula. Tibia and fibula. There they are, tibia and fibula. So the tibia, of course, is going to articulate with the femur like this. This forms the knee joint. Okay, the tibiofemoral joint, technically. So just like this. And when we talk about the hamstrings and the quadriceps, we're going to be talking about attachments down on the tibia, specifically this piece right here. This is, you can see how big this thing is. This is the tibial tuberosity, and you can easily feel it on yourself. If you feel your kneecap, which is your patella, and you just slide about an inch, inch and a half below that, that's your tibial tuberosity. You can feel it. I can feel mine very easily. Almost everybody has a tibial tuberosity that is easily palpated through the skin here. And some people have larger ones than others. Okay, so that's going to be one of our major landmarks. We also have these right here. These are tibial plateaus. These hold pieces of cartilage called menisci that are going to help cushion the knee joint. We'll talk about that in the next unit when we do the leg and foot. Which is going to be after the midterm. But anyway, we still have, you know, this top part of the tibia here where we're going to be attaching some muscle to. Okay. And we'll just go over those individually as we go through each one. We also have the fibula. This is just a little skinny bone, and this one's actually bent. Oops. The fibula articulates with the tibia kind of like this. And again, this person looks like it's very bent. This is not supposed to be bent. It was just sitting awkwardly in my bone box. So anyway, it would go like this and articulate like this. And these two bits down here, it's hard to hold together like that. This would be your lateral ankle bone, and this would be your medial ankle bone. So down near your ankle where you have your ankle bones, they stick out and you can easily feel them. This one's the lateral one, this one's the medial one. So it's actually two different bones down there. But that's how they fit together, roughly. Again, this one's really bent. Let's see if I can fix that. All right, so we're gonna move on to the screen share and go right into the muscles. This is a shorter unit because we already know the bony landmarks. We don't have to spend nearly as much time with that. All right. So this is actually the PowerPoint that is part of your D2L. I just thought I'd bring this up. It's exactly like the book. So we can either use this or we can use the book. It doesn't really matter. But we are actually going to be moving ahead to page 306 if you want to just follow along. So these are the muscles we're going to be covering today. So we have quadriceps here. There are 4 of them, even though you can only see 3 in this picture. And sartorius here. Sartorius is the longest muscle in the body. And you can see why. It's a long, thin strap. And right here is tensor fascia lata. It looks like latte. Tensor fascia latae, it's fun to say. And you can see here are the adductors, right? There's gracilis, right there. Your iliopsoas in here. So just to give you an idea of what's in that area and how it all fits together. Let's look at the posterior. So of course, here's gluteus maximus. Again, TFL, because TFL is directly on the side, and you'll hear me abbreviate it TFL a lot because tensor fascia latae is a mouthful. It's kind of like EOP in that way. We're going to abbreviate it. TFL actually attaches directly to the iliotibial tract, just like gluteus maximus. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then right here are your hamstrings. You have 2, well, not 2, but 2 heads on the lateral side here. That's biceps femoris. And then you have 2 individual muscles, the semisisters, semitendinosus and semimembranosus on the medial side. And the hamstring tendons attach to the tibia and fibula on either side of the popliteal space. You see right in here where my cursor is, that's all the popliteal space. So remember, that's an endangerment area. We don't press directly into the popliteal space. We will be working the tendons on either side of the popliteal space. All right, here's a side view. I really like this view, and I try to impress this upon students a lot. So here is the iliotibial band or iliotibial tract. Either one is fine. And all this that you see here, all this red muscle here and here, it's all one muscle. It's all vastus lateralis. It is a large muscle. It is really the only muscle on the side of the leg here, on the lateral side of the leg. Even though it looks like it's split into 2, it is not. It's one solid piece of muscle all the way around that wraps around from the anterior to the posterior femur. It's huge, okay? It's only one muscle on the side of the leg. All right, let's skip through here. There we are. So here's the quadriceps group, okay? Quadriceps group is made of 4 muscles, hence the term quadriceps, and we are now on page 306. So if you follow along in your book, that's where we are. We have rectus femoris, that's the most superficial quadricep muscle. It's on the anterior. Then we have vastus lateralis, as I mentioned, that's the lateral one, the huge one. And we also have vastus medialis, that's going to be on the medial side, and it actually forms that teardrop shape down at the medial knee. But deep to those 3 is vastus intermedius, there's the 4th. Vastus intermedius is not palpable because it is too deep. It's deep to these three, therefore you're not going to be able to physically touch it, okay? But that is vastus intermedius. All right, so let's take a look at these attachments here. All right, so they actually have different origins. There's 4 of them with 4 different origins, and that's fine because the insertion is all the same. So no worries there. All right, so rectus femoris. Rectus femoris originates at the ASIS, or anterior superior iliac spine. And actually, if we go up to here, there it is. See right there, ASIS. And I have it on visible body as well. Come on, turn around. Turn around. There you go. So these look a little bit different here. I'm going to hide. This is sartorius. I'm going to hide that for a second. There we go. All right. So this one right here is rectus femoris. And you see it originates on the A. Did I say ASIS? I meant AIIS. I think I said ASIS. I meant the anterior inferior iliac spine. I don't mean to confuse you. I apologize. AIIS is the origin for rectus femoris. Let me see if I can just back them up a little so you can see the whole thing. There we go. So right there is rectus femoris. It's pretty long. Pardon me. Rectus means straight up and down, okay? So that's what that name means. It's a muscle that's straight up and down on the femur, rectus femoris. AIIS to the tibial tuberosity, essentially. And I will talk about the insertion when we finish the origins for all of them, because there's something a little wonky here, and I'll clarify. All right. So vastus medialis then originates on the medial lip of the linea aspera. So that's easy to remember because it's vastus medialis. It originates on the medial lip of the linea aspera. Easy. Vastus lateralis, very similar to medialis, originates on the lateral lip of the linea aspera. Oh, it's going to be so easy. It also originates on the gluteal tuberosity and the greater trochanter because it's so big. Okay, so look, you have all of this here. That's the lateral lip of the linea aspera, but then it comes all the way up here, hits the gluteal tuberosity, and comes all the way up to the greater trochanter here. So big origin, but vastus. Vastus, the word means large, vast, great, big, okay? And this origin is really big because it's a really big muscle. See how it wraps around the femur, okay? All the way around the side, starting at the lateral lip of the linea aspera. All right, vastus intermedius is kind of a bit smaller compared to medialis and lateralis here. It originates on the anterior and lateral shaft of the femur. Anterior and lateral shaft of the femur. So let's take a look at that. So here's vastus intermedius. Anterior, yep, and lateral, yep, shaft of the femur. So these all have kind of skinnier origins here. Here's medialis, there's lateralis, and vastus intermedius is right there. Okay. And then of course, rectus femoris is just kind of on top of all of them. All right, so here is the insertion. Technically, the insertion is the tibial tuberosity, but I said it was wonky, so let me explain. Let's go back up to this picture here. All right, so one thing that I want to show you is this. This right here is the quadricep tendon. All right, it attaches the quadriceps to the patella. But from the patella to the tibial tuberosity is the patellar ligament, because you're attaching bone to bone. So you're attaching the patella to the tibial tuberosity. Those are two bony landmarks. Therefore, that's the patellar ligament. But clear all drawings. But the thing about the patella is that it is a floating bone. It is embedded in the posterior part of the tendon. So actually, this whole thing is one big tendon or one long structure. My skeleton does not have that, but, oops, I'm gonna clear that out for a second. If you see, I'm going to turn, this is kind of a strange view here. There we go. Let's get that out of the way. It's random, whatever. Look, if you see the rectus femoris, I'll just highlight that. Rectus femoris comes into this tendon, right? This is a bursa, by the way. I'm going to hide that. I don't need that there. No, hide. Thank you. Let's hide the other bursa here. That's what a bursa looks like. Remember I said it's like a water balloon? Yeah. So the rectus femoris comes into, becomes continuous with the quadriceps tendon, which you see covers the entire patella. And then from the patella to the tibial tuberosity is technically the patellar ligament. But like I said, it's really all one structure. Make him small again. See, it's all one structure. All right. So in order to describe this, what we say is the tibial tuberosity via the patella and the patellar ligament. So that's the insertion. Tibial tuberosity via the patella and the patellar ligament, because they're trying to describe how that one structure is actually kind of divided into two. It's confusing, I know. But tibial tuberosity. So anyway, all the origins are different, but the insertion is the tibial tuberosity. Now, as far as actions are concerned, quadriceps muscles are on the anterior of the body, but they affect the knee. So the knee does sort of opposite actions to things that we typically think of as anterior actions like flexion. And when it does posterior actions, it's going to be opposite as well. So all of the quadriceps actually extend the knee. Remember, when you're standing in anatomical position, you are in full extension, okay? The knee is extended. So if I flexed the knee and then extended my knee, I would be engaging the quadriceps muscles, okay? Now, rectus femoris crosses the hip joint, doesn't it? Because it attaches to the AIIS. Remember, if it crosses a joint, it has to affect that joint. So rectus femoris flexes the hip. So let me show you. We'll stand way back here. All right, so I'm in anatomical position. Rectus femoris begins right about here and then inserts at the tibial tuberosity here. So because it goes straight down this way, if it contracts, it's going to pull towards the AIIS, thereby flexing the hip. In this position, again, remember, everything is an extension. So if I flex my knee, so the knee is flexed now, and then extend my knee, I'm engaging quadriceps. I'll flex my knee, extend my knee, all my quadriceps engage. All right, so one more look at the quadriceps on the visible body here. We have rectus femoris. We have vastus lateralis. I'm going to swing him around so you can see all of vastus lateralis here. Okay, and here the IT band is cut, so you can see vastus lateralis. You can even see vastus lateralis all the way back to the posterior, back around to the posterior of the body here. Vastus medialis, that's right there. And then, of course, if I fade or hide rectus femoris, you can see vastus intermedius deep to that. All right, so when we come back, we will talk about the hamstrings.